Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about the star of the Delta and Delta banner, and we're going to start this off a little bit fun today. See if we can get a little bit lucky. Nope. All right. That's all right. Anyway, we are going to be talking about Demiurge Delta. So by far, I will say that she was probably the one that everyone was most excited for, myself included, mainly because of her S3. But I got a comment in my my summon video of someone asking, how do we build her? Stuff that I would typically go over in my breakdown. And that told me that I needed to do my breakdown ASAP. So this is my breakdown. She is obviously a dark, she is a cleric, a priest, and she is a reliever, a savior who heals allies in moments of peril. So she is less offensive than probably any other healer that we have at the moment. And I say offensive because you can use both Maeva and Nella in very offensive ways. I mean, Maeva can get her the triple attack, Nella can do the revival, and just overall just allows you to apply a lot of pressure by being on their turn. However, Demiurge Delta, on the other hand, tends to allow her teammates to really excel in what they're doing and then pushes them past what their normal limits would be. So she's less of a unit herself and more of a unit that allows her team to excel even better than they would by themselves, which is really nice in a team-based game like this. But when you look at like Maeva does a very good job of just keeping everybody alive, healed, cleansing debuffs every couple of turns, and giving revival and making sure no debuffs land. Which I guess you could kind of argue is how Demi Delta works. However, Delta doesn't really give a lot of healer-specific buffs. She just gives a unique buff and then removes debuffs. And you'll see that as we go into it. So, to kick things off, how we normally do it, we're going to talk about her skills. So, her S1, Code Purifier. Attacks an enemy, increases priority of the ally with the lowest health by 20% and recovers health by 10% of Delta's max health. So this says ally with the lowest health by 20%. This is not referring to their max health. This is referring to the health that they are currently at. So, but it would also be lowest max health. Basically whatever number is the smallest. So if you have, your Hild and she's at 11,000 and that's half dead for her, or you have Gnosis Dahlia that's at 9,000 but she's at full health, the healing is going to go to Gnosis Dahlia because she has the lowest health. And then recovers health by 10% of Delta's max health. Again, really focusing on her base HP and her max health. You can get it to 20% healing by maxing it out all the way. Or 25%, my bad. You can get it to 15%. Jesus Christ, I cannot read. At her burst effect, level 1 burst increases action points of ally healing target by 70. So whichever character she's healing, it increases their action points by 70. Grants increased resilience to ally healing target for 2 turns. Again, that person that is getting the healing, the priority and the healing gets increased resilience, and then resets cooldown of ally healing target. This is all about the target that she's hitting with her S1, the recipient. Oopsies. My bad. I did not mute my phone. Silly me. My bad. Her S1 is all about giving the heal recipient action points, resilience, and resetting cooldowns. Basically, again, not really giving them any healer specific buff or anything, but giving them better chances of being better as themselves. None of these, this is very universal. This applies to basically any character. This would help almost every character in the game. In fact, I would be willing to say that this helps literally every character in the game, because we don't have a character that cares about their cooldowns. I mean, that'd be kind of cool if we had a character that was like, oh, the higher your cooldown, the more damage you do. That'd be kind of cool, but we don't have that. So until then, you know, we're fine. But this is very much a, you know, you target whoever has the lowest amount of health and they get all the buffs in the recipient. Her S2, Code Icarus. Remove 2 debuffs from the ally target, so you're targeting one of your allies, and recovers the target's health by 40% of Delta's max health. Then increases priority of the ally target by 55%. If you get it to level 4, that's actually 70%, so 70% priority, and then instead of removes 2 debuffs, removes all debuffs. So just going, you, no debuffs, bunch of priority, here's a bunch of health, now go. Run, be the best version of you, and go with it. And the cooldown's really nice. I mean, it's a 2-turn cooldown. That is amazing. She uses it, has her next turn, and then she gets to use it again. That is awesome. I love 2-turn cooldown moves. They are super consistent. It's one of the better, I mean, the shorter the cooldown, the better, but having a 2-turn single target healing cooldown is absolutely amazing. Then her S3. This is the one that everyone was so excited about. Her S3, Code Reverse. Again, like the one ability that everyone was so excited for. Recovers health of all allies by 40% of Delta's max health, and grants revival for a turn. Super nice. Then grants Ether Boost to the ally with the highest attack for 1 turn. Ether Boost cannot be granted to healers. And the reason why is because when using a burst skill, reduces required action points by 100%. Irremovable. So, after talking and debating with somebody, there's 2 ways that this works out. Either Ether Boost is incredibly broken, and other characters need to get fixed because of something that happens later. Or it works the same and it's not really going to change a whole lot. So I'm excited to see what happens. Anyway, this is super nice because it is a mass heal and then gives revival to everybody, so you can kind of brace for like a big AoE. And then you also get the ability to AP burst something really hard with your DPS essentially. And then at level 5, grants an extra turn. So I can't remember if this grants her the extra turn or if it grants the target the extra turn. I think it grants her the extra turn, which is nice because you could essentially use this 1 turn and then the next turn use this and then also use that again. So you can basically bounce back and forth between these for the most part. I mean, you can use this, 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 and you can just go back and forth, and you can basically always be popping Code Icarus. That would probably be the first one I max out, is Icarus. Then I would max out Reverse, then I would max out Purifier. So, moving on from there, our new thing that we're going over is we're actually going over Transcendent Stars. This makes this a little bit harder for me to do because of the new star system. I am not the biggest fan of the new star system, how we're doing it. However, I don't mind it. I wish it was a little different, however. So, I mean, it's not that bad. I like the old system. I'm used to the old system. So, at 3 stars, you'll get burst level 2. At 4 stars, you will get plus 40% caster priority when an ally resists an effect. Effects applies at the start of battle excluded only once per turn. So you can only trigger this once per turn. And then it applied at the start of battle excluded. So like if you have a character that you're going up against and they like immediately give your team like defense down, that's not going to work. This ability won't counter that. However, she still has plenty of skills to remove that debuff. And then when you get it to 4+, you'll get that 3% stat bonus. And then at 5 stars, you will get burst level 3 unlocked. And then you'll get plus 25 action points at battle start, and then plus 10 ally speed. Another healer that's going to help boost your speed to really push past certain characters. An example of this is like, I think we used Mene for a really long time to outspeed your opponent's Demi Vladas, and that was something that a lot of people did. This is another character you can do that with. And honestly, I would rather do it with Delta here than I would with Mene. With today's current meta, with the, no Cesnellas running around that are causing us all a headache. And then 5+, you get that 3% stat bonus. 5++, you get another 3% stat bonus. Then at 6 stars, when using Code Reverse, grants Ether boost to Dark Heroes except healers for 1 turn. See, in the patch notes, the verbiage is different. Because it says in patch notes that when using Code Reverse, grants Ether boost +1 turn Ether boost to Dark Heroes except healers. Now that I see that this verbiage, what I was saying in my patch notes video about like Gnosis Dahlia being able to have 4 turns, that's not possible. However, she still has the potential to get like 3 turns out of it realistically, because of Ether Boost. But again, I digress. It's just not as strong as I initially thought it was going to be because of the verbiage change between patch notes and this. If I remember, hopefully I remember, maybe I'll have a screenshot of what the patch note says right over here. That way we can kind of determine what that is looking like, because I want the side-by-side comparison, and I think having that side-by-side comparison for you guys would be helpful to see why I thought what I thought, and now I'm changing my mind based on this verbiage alone. But then the other thing I really like, at the start of battle, grants increased resilience to all allies for 1 turn. That is super nice because it just means any debuff that you're going to get initially is going to help be resisted. The only downside of that is that if you outspeed them, you're actually not going to get the benefit of that. So with her, it might actually be more beneficial if you're running someone with like a debuff to actually run them a little bit slower, because now your debuffer won't get the debuffs and you can apply the debuffs yourself. So it's actually more beneficial for you to be slower. So maybe don't min-max speed all the time. Maybe to be just like a couple speed points lower. But again, it might make it a little bit harder because she gives you plus 10 speed. So I don't really know how well that's going to work out. I think it will be nice still regardless. Moving on to her exclusive equipment. Her exclusive equipment is Wax Wings. Reduces light damage taken by 20%. Again, it's pretty standard for, exclusive. Typically you'll have a reduced light damage taken or some form of that. And then you have the exclusive equipment perk. When using Code Reverse, removes 2 debuffs from all allies. Super cool. Very helpful. If you get it to plus 10 enhancement, when you use Code Reverse, you actually grant increased resilience to all allies for 2 turns as well. So when you use it, you'll remove 2 debuffs, you will grant increased resilience to all allies, and then you will also still do the revival and ether boost. It is a lot of buffs that can happen on that one specific skill, which makes sense why its cooldown is 4 turns. Again, you could equip gems here. And then for talismans, so my problem is with my talismans, I don't really have many of them. And I can't really tell you too much, because there's not really, like, obviously Saint's Charm is the go-to. I would just go with Saint's Charm. Mage's Charm isn't good. Vanguard's Charm isn't bad if you're going to be running like a slower bruiser team. Undertaker's Charm, again, not worth it. Powerful Adventurer's Talisman. That might be worth it, but you're not really going to spam your ultimate as much as you would realistically get hit with them, like with Vanguard's Charm or with Saint's Charm. I mean, you can spam that S2 basically every other turn. It is so much better to get like a Saint's Charm. However, Saint's Charm isn't that great for PvP, which makes that kind of the problem. Which is why you have to have that kind of the balance. I mean, Sharp Adventurer's Talisman, when you get a crit, that one's not bad. When using an ultimate also isn't bad, getting 30 AP for that. But, you have to be careful about which one of these you pick, because you only get, you don't get chain points for PvP, you only get AP for PvP. So if you're really going to focus on PvP, just be careful. That's all I'm going to say. And I'll leave that one at that. But, however, for exclusive equipment, honestly, pretty solid. I like it a lot. It's super nice. I mean, the potential to give increased resilience and everything is super cool. I mean, I like the idea of having a healer literally designed to increase your resilience to the point that you don't get hit with debuffs. Trying to shift the meta away from your Iotas, your Gnosis Nellas, and really trying to shift it kind of away from that. And I like that. They kind of realize what Gnosis Nella has been doing to PvP, and they realize kind of the problem that's been going on with debuffs, and they realize they needed something a little bit kind of to compete with Meva that will help another character that can help cleanse. And I'm glad they made D.Delta, if I'm going to be honest. All right. Last but not least, the gear. So, this is what I've chosen for gear for now. I have done very little testing with her. There's been a lot of different discussions about this. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think anybody has a clear idea on how she's supposed to be built. A lot of people are just saying, build her with speed gear with high HP. Sure, so you'll make her like every other healer that we have? So, it's hard for me because it's like, I like the idea of having a unique healer. I mean, you look at like, Meva. My Meva set is literally speed gear with freaking high HP values. Or realistically as high of HP values as I can, with a little bit, I mean, look at that. So much more speed. I mostly prioritize speed. But I don't think that D.Delta needs to be all that fast. I don't think she needs to throttle speed as much as other healers would, because of her ability to give your other characters so much more priority. If you just are giving them extra priority, but they're already at 80%, what's the point? So I don't think she needs to be like snail speed, but I also don't think she needs to be like as fast as you can make her. I think she needs to kind of fall somewhere in the middle, but still kind of on the higher end. Like if snail speed was a 1 and, as fast as you can make her was a 10, I think she'd need to fall around like a 7 or an 8 to have that perfect timing. Because on the top of it, you don't have to focus so much into your speed. You can focus into other stats like her HP stat and her defense stat and her other stats that you actually care about that are really going to help out. But all that aside, my very opinionated opinion out of the way, I like Emblem of Dominance. The reason why I like Emblem of Dominance is because when you use a burst skill, you have after you max it out, a 100% chance to increase the defense of all allies by 50%. A good way to increase defense, you can pair her up with Cannon. Cannon's really going to benefit from that defensive buff initially. Really strong skill. I like it a lot. Plus, you know, you can get it with HP rolls, and I like my stats for this. This is pretty solid in my opinion. Next thing, Obsidian Oath. If you are not running an Obsidian Oath as of right now, you have been sleeping under a rock. Everyone is running Obsidian Oath on your healers as of right now, typically Obsidian Oath with speed, because of one fucking character in particular. Where is she? Wow, she actually kind of... Where is she? Hello? Oh, there she is. I'm just blind as shit. Because of one specific character. She's been causing us so much problem in PvP right now. It's kind of absurd. So, running Obsidian Oath basically makes it to where your healers don't get shut down by Gnosis Snella immediately. Because you have a 100% chance to decrease the wielder's debuff durations when an enemy takes action. You're stunned. This makes you unstunned. Super cool. Super nice. Makes it to where you can actually play the goddamn video game. You basically run this every single time. I like the rolls I got on here. I like having that high defense stat. I am actually really happy with how her defense turned out. I mean, it's not like crazy high, but she literally doesn't need attack. So I like having that high defense. Means that she's going to stick around a little bit longer. So this is where a lot of people's opinions differ, and I'll talk about a couple reasons why. I like the swiftness set because it's going to increase her speed proportional to her missing health, and it's percentage based. It's like health gates. There's a certain percentage that gives her a certain percentage of speed bonus. I like having this more than the speed set, the flat speed set, mainly because so many characters require speed gear that I don't think she's one of them that absolutely is mandatory to have speed gear. I think you can get away with the swiftness gear and it'd be okay. Especially if you get some pretty alright rolls. I mean, I think these are pretty good rolls. What do you guys think? I'm going to try to trade that attack for HP when I get the chance. HP percent. So I'm running, you know, HP because, or the swiftness set, because I like it. The other one you could do, you don't have to do immunity gear. I threw on immunity gear because this is pretty solid immunity gear. The other one you could realistically do is like HP gear. HP gear is another really, really good change. Let me just... Yeah. So HP gear is really solid. Effectiveness gear, counterattack gear, crit damage gear. You know, increase attack proportional mixing health with revenge gear, not that helpful. Patience set isn't really helpful. You know, a lot of these gear sets really aren't that helpful because, I mean, they're not. The only other ones that are really that helpful is like immunity or health gear. The problem is I have all my good health gear on all my other characters. So I'm trying to roll some better health gear right now because I honestly think that health gear is better than this immunity set. However, immunity set will work just fine. It gives you just that extra layer of protection against debuffs, which is kind of her whole shtick, which is kind of why I was impartial to it initially. I liked the idea of having this healer that is super high resilience, doesn't take any debuffs, and makes it to where your team doesn't have any debuffs either. I thought that really like matched her shtick, and I liked it a lot. I mean, that's why I have, 213 resilience right now, and only plan to get more. I mean, a little bit of crit chance is nice. Having a good amount of accuracy, again, is super helpful. You never know when someone's going to pull Fatal out of their ass and totally have a unbeatable dodge tech. Some of those rogues are really hard to hit. I'm actually kind of excited for that. And when we go back to that meta, at least. Other options, if you really care, for weapons, you could always do Royal Stinger if you're really worried about getting extra healing off. I'm not. I like the defense bonus a little bit more. Super depends on what you want. Iron Messiah is a very, very good one. I would recommend Iron Messiah. I'm just unlucky and I haven't gotten one. So, oopsies. Legacy of the Dream. I don't really like it all that much. Just because even after you max it out, it still isn't all that high. The other one is Immortal Pride. Just flat increases healing received. Again, not bad, not bad. For if you are this far into the game, you can get Brurios's Recklessness. Grants stealth to the ally with the lowest health for 1 turn after using a burst skill. Activated once only 5 turns. This one's nice if you're really worried about your DPS getting picked off. The other one is Gorgon's Wrath. If you're really worried about getting extra turns, you could totally do Gorgon's Wrath. This would be what I would be using if I had it. I would be using this if I had it, but I don't have it at this moment. I can't talk. I don't have it at this moment. Otherwise, I would totally be using it. I'm just getting my teams together still for that game mode, and I have every intention of doing it. The next one, accessories, Overdrive, not that helpful. Resurrection Token, probably the better one, but you're going to get stopped with debuffs all the time, so just be aware of that. Saint's Ring, not bad. Saint's Ring isn't bad, don't get me wrong. You have a choice between Saint's Ring and Obsidian Oath. I just like Obsidian Oath. It triggers sooner, and I think it's a little bit more consistent. The next one, Starlight Road. Inflicts reduced critical damage on the enemy team for 1 turn at the start of battle. Again, not bad, but a lot of times you won't run into this. So I wouldn't even bother with it. It's honestly not the best. It has its niches, but I don't know. I can't really argue too much for it. Brurios's Ambition increases resilience of the wearer by 15%. Just a nice way to get some resilience. However, no speed, which is the downside of that one. Gorgon's Vanity has a 50% chance to grant increased effectiveness to all allies for 1 turn after using a burst skill. If you have characters that rely on effectiveness, absolutely phenomenal. Like, I don't know, freaking Gnosis Beth that does damage based on her effectiveness. I don't know, Kitsune of Eternity, which does additional damage based on her effectiveness. If you're running both of those in PvP, by all means, Gorgon's Vanity, 2 different healers, fucking run with it, man. It would be crazy. I would love to see that. The problem is I don't know how well those debuffs are going to do, but at the same time, you never know. Honestly, I'd love to see Kitsune of Eternity and Gnosis Beth paired with D.Delta and, like, I don't know, maybe Gnosis Nella. Or not Gnosis Nella, Base Nella. I mean, Gnosis Nella wouldn't be too bad either, and neither would Iota, honestly. Just really fuck him up with some debuffs. I think it'd be funny. Last but not least, something that someone had asked me to, the comment that I had mentioned had asked me to do a little bit of a team. So we're going to kind of see what that looks like. First things first, one team that I absolutely love the idea of looked something along the lines of this. I really like this idea. First off, you have a very, very fast character with Demi-Vlada, who's just going to absolutely outspeed everything and immediately drop some AoEs and just make it to where they can't get healed. She doesn't have the highest attack, because your highest attack you realistically want going into your Gnosis Dahlia and really just hitting them hard with the AoE and then firing off those single target attacks and just obliterating them as much as you can. Stirrup is nice because Stirrup has the ability like Begin the Crusade, which makes them unhealable, and then when they activate stuff like Counterattack, Revenge, or Agile Response, stuff that you kind of do have to be worried about, you can reduce that damage and then also reduce the duration of the buffs that they have, which is super cool. And then Fight Ferociously, increased accuracy and effectiveness, and then again, unhealable. And reducing those skill cooldowns, that's super nice for Delta. Because again, what is her biggest flaw is that her S3 has such a big cooldown. Reducing that by 2 is huge, you guys. And then here's the best part. You then can give Vlada faster turns. So then she can get her increased damage and plus 60% cooldown increase. And she has a 40% chance to increase the ultimate skill cooldown of the target by 1 turn. She can basically always increase the ultimate skill cooldown of a character every single time and get that reduced defense on that target every single time. You just pick a target and you're able to debuff them to hell, make sure that your Dahlia is souped up, ready to hit hard like a truck, and then you have your Sterope here to make sure that you can continuously do that as fast as humanly possible. Because on top of that, I mean, Sterope is also just going to be fast. I mean, she gets the ability to increase her own speed, and then Divine Retribution increases her damage. Like, she's going to hit hard by herself, increases her own speed, is able to get fight ferociously all the time, basically, and is able to just constantly cycle. This is a team that basically is the equivalent of, like, the Recycle logo. They all feed into each other so fucking well. It's honestly kind of scary. And this is the team I'm going to be building, and I'm going to try it in PvP when I get it fully built up. Just because I want to see how terrifying this team is in, like, a PvP setting. You could also maybe change Demi Vlada out for Demi Aste if you wanted to. Aste is really scary in PvP as well. However, I like Sterope instead. I always really like Steropes. I like Sterope's kit a lot. But this is the team that I would typically use for it. But if you're not running like a mono dark team, essentially you run her, your highest DPS unit that you have available. And then you realistically run someone who is going to help like reduce defense debuffs, or someone who's going to buff you up. Christmas Diane is a very good example of that. She's going to buff you up to high hell and let you kind of go bananas. Another good one would be like Gnosis Beth, to lay on those debuffs as many times as possible and really let them go off. And then a character who's going to enable you to do that better. Typically someone with like cooldown reduction, or a way to allow you to live a little bit longer. Demi Drakon is a good choice, in my opinion at least. Ember might not be too bad. I don't really know. I haven't tested anything with Ember all that much just yet. Demi Stella is a good pick all around because she's just going to give that constant support with her Merciless God and Flight of Abraxas that's going to hit everything. And then being able to just, the world is mine constantly would be nice. Kaurin isn't a bad pick either, just because of her ability to just sit there and take hits. At least how I built mine. Ame isn't bad. Valentine isn't bad. You got a lot of different characters, but realistically it's going to be Demi Delta, Gnosis Dahlia, or whoever your high DPS is, a character that is going to help your characters do more damage by either debuffs or buffs, and then a character who's going to allow you to cooldown reduce or help you assassinate something. She's here to just make sure that your main damage dealer is hitting everything hard, weakening, chipping away at everything, and then you have someone to just kill things off when you need it, and then you have someone enabling with either buffs or debuffs. That's how I would look at it at least. And holy shit, I didn't realize that this was a 33-minute video. I am so sorry, you guys. I am really, really liking this character, and there's so much to talk about with her because of her unique abilities and her unique skill set. I'm super pumped to see her. Maybe throw some builds down below. Let me test a couple of those out. Let me see what your crazy ass ideas are. I'd really appreciate it. I'd love to see what you guys got rolling around in your brains. And with that, I'm going to leave this episode here because I've been talking way too long. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Please, on your way down, checking out your next YouTube video you're going to watch, please don't be afraid to hit that like button and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. We hit 57 subs just the other day. And all I did was release a patch note video. So you guys must really like the patch note videos, or I might have been more funny than normal. I have no idea. Regardless, I still appreciate it. Thank you, all of you, for every single one of you, for all the support. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.